everyone, welcome to Gothenburg for another pre-season game for Manchester United on this tour 2026, sponsored by Snapdragon. Now, this is the fan zone right here in Gothenburg that's got approximately, it's going to have about 450 fans that are going to be here just before the game kick-off, and they're coming in their numbers right now, which is why I've managed to grab journalist Andy Mitten and United legend Wes Brown with me. So Wes, first of all, what's it been like? Because this is also the final game in Scandinavia, so plenty of travelling the fans have been doing, haven't they? Yeah, and again, it's another great turnout. We was here last night, but there's so many more fans here today. Like I said, there's so many supporters here, great company as well, but they're just excited to watch the games and you know, see some of the players they've not seen. And another exciting fixture for Manchester United today, another test during this pre-season. Manchester United are facing PSG a little later on. If you want to tune in to that game, tune into MUTV. Make sure you subscribe from 3 p.m. BST. All the action will be on there. PSG are an absolute giant in football, Andy. What have you made of them and what's their history like in your opinion?
Well, they played Manchester United in March 2019 and got beat at home. I remember that game very clearly. Marcus Rashford smashing a penalty in front of 3,000 travelling away fans in the rain. But bringing it more up to date, they're the best team in the world and they've got the best manager in the world as well. They've retained the Champions League, which is an extremely difficult thing to do. They play fantastic football. And Luis Enrique, who's an incredible player for Sporting, for Barca, for Madrid. I mean, I've interviewed him a few times. He's just got such a strong mentality about what works, and he's got his team playing. He doesn't care for names, for egos, and he's just moulded them into the best team in the world. So it's a really good test for Manchester United. PSG will not be using all the players because some of them are still coming, same as Manchester United. They played a very young side in Mallorca the other night and got lost, but technically these lads will be fantastic, sprinkled in with some of the best players in the world.
Exactly that, because you know what, Wes, when we were speaking last week in Stockholm, you could not wait to hear some of our World Cup players coming back into action. So make sure you tune in to all of our social channels as well on Manchester United, because you'll see it on Instagram. We have announced a 22-man squad that have travelled to Gothenburg, and that's including the likes of Diogo Dalot, Youri Tielemans and Mazraoui, and of course our captain magnifico, Bruno Fernandes. How incredible do you think it'll be to see them back in red, back in action, because these are star players that are raring to go? Yeah, listen, great for the fans, but just as good for the manager. You know, it's sometimes when the manager doesn't get all the players back at once, it takes a little time. You know, the new signings get to meet the players, learn a lot about them, how they play, and you know, just get used to each other in training and around them and about. So it's good for Michael, and I'm sure that the new lads are just really looking, you know, forward to getting back with the new team. Bruno, obviously the captain, he'll be excited he's back now and raring to go ready, really. And it's interesting for the simple fact that, you know, for some of them it will only be 10 days before the start of the season starts against Hull, but that's just the way it is. But listen, like the likes of knowing Dalot, knowing Bruno, you know, there'd be no problems with that, you know. And like I said, I'd be really excited to see Tielemans today. There are a few players that are missing as well. You've got Senny Lamens and Cunha, they're missing out due to some minor illnesses. Carl Darlow and Benjamin Sesko, they're working towards full fitness at Carrington as well. And Altay Bayındır, it's just been announced that he's going on a season-long loan to Celta Vigo, which, Andy, must mean that Tom Heaton's getting another look in, isn't he?
Yeah, Tom, I collared him after the game in Helsinki. I said, Tom Heaton, 40 years old, how was the game today? And he just went, thanks for that. I mean, top lad, top influence in the dressing room, really important figure there, and he doesn't let Manchester United down. I think he's realistic and knows that he's not going to be the first choice keeper this year. Senny Lamens was fantastic last year, but pre-season gives people opportunities, including Tom. You always think of like the younger players getting minutes, but someone like Tom, you know, and he's got the trust of his teammates anyway, but he's very rarely put a foot wrong. And to do that, historic old stadium. This is where Pelé made his name in the World Cup in '58. This is where Jesper Blomqvist made his name against Manchester United and David May, if you're watching, David. And it's a sellout, big crowd, two massive teams. Nice day in the second city of Sweden. So feel the mood today. It's brilliant. It
is fantastic. And from your perspective, Andy, we're hearing that obviously players like Bruno Fernandes, Diogo Dalot, that they'll be coming back into action today. With how Michael Carrick has played his side over pre-season, do you see anything different with them joining the team today with the system?
I think he will keep a similar system, and gradually increase the number of established players and gradually decrease the number of youngsters, because his team have got to be ready for when the Premier League starts. It's lovely giving young players minutes, but if they're not ready to play in the Premier League, then he's got to be using the players who are. And pre-season results can be a real misleader. Remember under Louis van Gaal, brilliant pre-season, battering everyone, including Madrid, and then the season started and we lost at home to Swansea City. But you can still get a key. I've been impressed with Andre Santos, been impressed with Mason Mount. So he's building these connections, which they're building in training as well. Relatively short flight out of here. There's no jet lag. There's none of the things associated with a long distance tour. And the climate's very temperate here as well, so loads of positives. But tactically, I think Michael, I don't know about you, Wes, he's maybe some tweaks, but he's been effective doing what he's been doing.
Yeah. Do you expect anything different, Wes?
No, not really. Like Andy said, it's about getting the right combinations. Like he said, Santos has played a lot of the games, and Mason Mount's been absolutely excellent. So with the other, obviously with Bruno coming back, then eventually Kobe, it's about getting who's ready to start the season, you know. But they're all playing well. Like I said, it's good that Santos has got a lot of game time, and the simple fact that you can see the sort of player he is. He's a bit more deeper in midfield, starts the play off, but he's worked really well for Michael, and that's why, you know, at the start of the season you might see maybe an Andre Santos, you know, start in the first 11, and then you can switch it in other areas. But like I said, I think a lot of the players have actually played really well in pre-season, and now it's about getting the right 11 for Hull, and then everybody else being completely ready, because we've got some very important games, especially early on. And it'd be good to get a good start. Honestly, really would. There's an opportunity there to get 3-6 points on the board early on and then see where we are. But it's at the moment it's all going well, no serious injuries.
Yeah, so let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Let us know if there is a certain player you cannot wait to see back in a red shirt today, because Manchester United will be wearing their home kit for today's game against PSG. So make sure you go and get yours as well. Represent the Reds with pride. We've spoken about players being ready, players being match ready, and also needing that Premier League experience, as you've said there. But Michael Carrick has actually given 27 players minutes across this pre-season. That's just showing that everyone needs to be ready. And Andy, you hinted at it there, but from you, Wes, you know, you've mentioned about, you know, players needing to feel ready and feel connected with each other. From a player perspective, do you think you would have enjoyed a tour like this because there's less travelling? It's easier for the body to recover, isn't it?
It is. Listen, pre-season is very important, and like you said, 27 players is excellent. A good few of them would have been the younger lads, and for the younger lads it's a bit different. They sort of have to show Michael what they've got and show that they can, you know, they're capable of playing for the team and in the league. For the more senior players and the players that are more established, it's about match fitness. It simply is. I mean, there's nothing worse than getting an injury. All of a sudden you're 4 weeks behind, and you're not gradually getting into the team till October, you know, late September. So like I said, he's thrown out a few good players now, but it's all about, like what Andy said, you sort of your main 16 players really getting a good run in, showing what you can do, and then obviously Michael and the staff to see what he thinks is going to work well for the opening game.
You've seen JJ Gabriel, he's 15 years old, so the first game he travelled but he didn't play in Trondheim, and then he got some minutes in Stockholm. Big learning experience. We've seen this when he was a young lad a long time ago, and you're getting lads getting the minutes, the sharing a dressing room with experienced international players, and I've been speaking to him, and they're getting used to the media, walking through a mix zone. This is real life as a footballer. I saw Tyler Fletcher last week and said, how was it today for you? And he said, I didn't play. I meant, yeah, your brother, you know, and he's just like laughing at me. I don't think I'll be the first person to mistake them two. But all of them lads who've had a chance so far, none of them have regretted it. I remember speaking to Toby Collier after Trondheim. He gave me like a really detailed, analytical, tactical breakdown of how they'd won the game. And I remember that as a journalist. Okay, he can talk in depth about tactics. You don't expect him to be starting when the season starts, but 27 players is a lot, but now it's getting to the business end of the end of the pre-season.
It is, and you've mentioned some of our young players there. It's great for players like Dan Armour, Jim Thwaites, plenty of youngsters that are in the mix here, and it shows the investment that's with Manchester United with youth, because you've said it there, some great answers from players like Toby Collier. Every single one of them are so invested in media training, trying to be the best that they can possibly be. But now time's about to get tough in this pre-season. The opposition gets tougher and we're getting closer to that Premier League season. So finally from you, what do you want from the team today, Wes?
Same again, good energy. quick play, people being brave on the ball. If the younger lads play, be brave, show what you've got. But yeah, a win is important. I think it's getting closer and closer now, so a win's important just for the mentality. But I've really liked what I've seen so far.
I think plenty of the fans here have as well. Thank you both so much for joining me. But we need to get ready for match day because we are getting ready to face PSG a little later on. Subscribe to MUTV for all the best build-up from 3 p.m. BST, and we'll see you then.